It's Friday, January 28th, 2011. I'm Kevin McShann, and this is the McShann Sports Beat Report.
Just when you thought it was your run-of-the-mill Thursday Super Bowl bye week, here comes the news that Jeff Fisher's out as Tennessee Titans head coach. First broken by Don Banks of Sports Illustrated right around 6:30 Eastern Time on Thursday, and then shortly before 7 o'clock Eastern Time on Thursday, confirmation from the team that the Tennessee Titans and Jeff Fisher, according to the press release, have parted ways. And Jeff Fisher will no longer be the head coach of the team, meaning that Jeff Fisher is no longer the most tenured head coach in the National Football League. Welcome to NFL Total Access, 90 minutes worth covering the Super Bowl coming up next week, the Pro Bowl going on right now, the Senior Bowl coming up on Saturday, and now this bit of news out of Tennessee that Jeff Fisher is out. Rich Eisen along with Jamie Dukes and Rod Woodson. Alex Flanagan will join us later, so will Jason Lockett-Four. We're firing up all the cylinders for this story that broke shortly, as I said, before 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Don Banks, the man who broke this story for Sports Illustrated, joining us on the phone right now. Don, the team confirming your report about a half an hour after you placed it out there. What are your thoughts about Jeff Fisher no longer being the head coach of the Tennessee Titans?
Well, I think they intended to stay together at the beginning of this offseason. I think it was January 6th or 7th when Bud Adams came out and said he was going to bring Coach Fisher back, and Vince Young was gone. But I think things probably changed in the interim, and I think it's probably is a mutual decision. I don't think it was one way or the other. I think perhaps as events started to unfold in Tennessee these last couple of weeks, they just decided that it was a little bit untenable to have Fisher really working in the final year of his contract.
Well, Jim Washburn, the longtime defensive line coach that's been praised for his work with folks like Albert Hainsworth, he moved on to Philadelphia. Chuck Cecil, the defensive coordinator, was tight with Jeff Fisher. He was let go just last week. The question is was this not discussed with Bud Adams in that January 7th meeting that you referred to, that 20 days later they decide to actually get the divorce that they weren't going to get back in January 7th?
Rich, I think there's a lot of details that are going to still come out. I don't know. It caught us all by surprise because we assumed that they were going forward. But perhaps they just reassessed their situation on both sides and said, you know what, maybe it's better to have a clean break, even though it's relatively late in the coaching hiring season, and move forward.
Should we assume this puts Vince Young back into play?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know, and I couldn't find anyone to answer that question today. But I don't think it's necessarily a leap we should make that Vince Young comes back, that Jeff Fisher is gone. I think, one, it could be up to whoever Bud Adams hires as his next head coach. He hasn't done that in a long time. And secondly, perhaps that ship has sailed and they made their decision on Vince Young, given what I would call the contentious tenor of the locker room against Vince Young.
Any other thoughts that you have on this situation that I'm not asking you about, Don Banks?
Well, I just think that Jeff Fisher started the offseason wanting to come back to Tennessee. I think he wanted to come back to Tennessee, and he signaled it even last week when he let Chuck Cecil go, a close friend, somebody he's worked with a long time, has a lot of respect for. I read that as, they kind of sacrificed Chuck Cecil in order to keep the rest of the staff intact, other than Coach Washburn. So I thought it was a clear sign that Jeff Fisher wanted to remain. Perhaps, though, something changed that we don't know about since then, or perhaps it was just a cumulative, on both sides, decision, just that too much water had gone under the bridge.
Shortly after the regular season ended, Titans owner Bud Adams had said that Fisher would return next season. Then came this statement from the team on yesterday's separation, and I quote, "After the season was complete, we had numerous discussions on the direction of the team, and we're pleased that we were moving forward with Jeff at the helm. Since that time, it became evident that consensus was increasingly hard to find, and reality wasn't matching the vision we discussed. It is unfortunate that this decision is coming at this juncture. We believe that we have reached the point where change is in the best interest of both parties, end quote.
Signaling the end to a fairly successful tenure is never easy, but sometimes it's the best thing to do for all parties involved to alleviate the pressure from what can turn into an untenable situation over the course of time. For Jeff Fisher, his tenure as the Tennessee Titans head coach lasted 16 years, and on Thursday, a tumultuous offseason reached its climax when Titans owner Bud Adams showed Fisher the door. Fisher has coached in more games for one franchise than all but 6 Hall of Fame head coaches, including George Halas, Tom Landry, Don Shula, Bud Grant, Chuck Noll, and Curly Lambeau. He is third among active head coaches in career wins with a record of 147 and 126, behind Bill Belichick of the New England Patriots, who has accumulated 176 during his time in Foxborough, and Mike Shanahan's mark of 160. He is 20th all-time among all head coaches in career victories. Adams promoted Fisher from his position as defensive coordinator to interim head coach in 1994. With 6 games remaining in that season, he removed the interim tag at the conclusion of the 94 season and has kept Fisher in his post longer than any coach around the league since the billionaire owner purchased the franchise. Fisher oversaw the team's transition from Houston, where the Oilers played in 4 stadiums from 1996 to 1999, before being renamed the Titans and relocating to Nashville and playing in their current home, LP Field. Since 1999, the Titans have the 7th highest winning percentage of any team in the league, with a record of 110 and 82. They've also tied for 4th with 6 playoff appearances during that time span. However, 2 consecutive non-playoff seasons will drop them down further on that list. However, the Titans haven't won a playoff game since 2004, when they defeated the Baltimore Ravens in the wild card round of the playoffs. The team also lost a wild card game in 2007 to the San Diego Chargers and wasted the conference's top seed in 2008. Former Titans tight end Frank Wycheck appeared on the Dan Patrick Show on Friday to provide further explanation as to why Fisher received the axe.
But Jeff Fisher is no longer the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. Let's find out, get a little bit more information here. Frank Wycheck, former Titans tight end, also part of the radio team 104.5 The Zone, one of our great affiliates in Nashville. He joins us now. Frank, fill in the gray area here.
Yeah, it's kind of, I think it threw everyone off guard. From what happened, Dan, a couple weeks ago, you thought that everything was decided upon and moving forward, but I guess there had to be something going on sideways with Jeff and Mr. Adams at some point in time, because this doesn't really happen. You kind of make decisions, and then all of a sudden, you're leaving the franchise. So I believe that something had to go on behind the scenes. You're hearing a lot of stuff, about coaches and their contracts and a lot of that stuff, and extension, and maybe the communication wasn't there, that everyone was on the same page with that. So that was an issue, I believe, that perhaps got both parties sideways, and and you had a mutual parting, I guess, if you will.
Fisher met with the media on Friday to discuss his reasoning for stepping aside from a job he's held for the last 17 seasons, and he reflects on all of the fond memories he's had while leading the Titans.
I have to go back to a Friday afternoon in November 11th to be specific, in 1994, prior to going up to play the Cincinnati Bengals. I was summoned by Steve Underwood to Mr. Adams' office, and was informed at that time of their intention for me to take the football team over on an interim basis. And we went into the wee hours of the night. I think I met Steve out at a gas station, signed a Saturday morning, signed an interim head coaching contract. And yeah, it's just hard for me to stand here and imagine that 17 years later it has come to this. I really, at that point, could really never imagine doing this as long as I have done it. And I owe nothing but gratitude, thanks to Steve, Mike, recent years, and of course to Mr. Adams for this incredible journey. And I've been blessed to be associated with one of the best franchises in the National Football League for this long. But as they say, all good things come to an end. And I have a great deal of peace, personal peace right now with this resolution. I have a great deal of confidence in this organization that they will move forward, as Mr. Adams has said. This is one of the top organizations, most efficiently run organizations in the National Football League, and they will be successful. My regret is that I won't have a hand in that process back to success. I have no regrets. I have nothing but very, very fond memories through the move, through the naming rights, the stadium, the success we had in '99, and all the way through the players, the coaches I've been associated with, working with you all on a daily basis throughout the year. It's been a tremendous experience for me, and I'm forever indebted to this organization. With that, I'll open up to a few questions. Thank you.
What got it to this point?
I think, David, you just come to a point where I did professionally, and the organization did, that it was just time to move on. I'm not going to go into specifics. It's best. I've been coaching for 25 years, and I need some time. I need a break. And I think timing-wise, this is a perfect opportunity to do this so that the organization can move forward with their plan, and I'll move forward with whatever happens in the future.
Why is it important not to get specifics? I mean, a lot of Titans fans have been you, this team, for so many years. They want to know.
Well, there were some differences, and but beyond that, it's just I think it's the situation that we got into. We had 2 difficult years. Moving into last year contract, and I just felt like this is what's best for everybody.
Surprises come in all sorts of shapes, sorts, and sizes, and to classify the mutual parting of the ways between Fisher and the Titans would certainly fall under that category. Not because it happened, but rather for the timing in which it occurred. It's late in the coaching hiring season in 2011, leaving the Titans and Adams in a bind to find their next field boss. With that being said, the marriage between Fisher and the Titans had run its course. There were plenty of ups and downs and everything in between. But when you added up all the pieces to this puzzle in this situation, it became clear that this gridiron romance couldn't be rekindled. There's a number of reasons why Fisher is out of a job in Nashville, from the Vince Young saga to disharmony on his coaching staff and 2 consecutive losing seasons, not to mention a fractured relationship with Adams. The situation in Tennessee has reached its boiling point, and a fresh start is what's needed for both sides to start anew. Kevin McShann, Sports Beat, report.